The Richie Allen Show in association with DavidIke.com. 7 minutes past the hour. Welcome back to the programme. And let me remind you, you are excited about hearing our next guest. I know you are. Tweet at Richie Allen Show. Email richie at richieallen.co.uk. Our featured guest this hour is no stranger to us. She joined us back at the very beginning of January, just after we came back from our Christmas break. She is the author of the outstanding and incredibly well-researched book Chemtrails, HAARP and the Full Spectrum Dominance of Planet Earth. This book, and I said this to you only last week, I was referring to it, it has connected brilliantly how the chemical aerosols, which we see in our skies every day of the week, well, not every day of the week, some days more than others. This week, particularly in the northwest of England, we've been absolutely sprayed, well, not to death, but not far from it. But how these aerosols and ionospheric heaters around the world have basically assured the military or the militaries of our country's global control. The book, Chemtrails, HAARP and the Full Spectrum Dominance of Planet Earth. I will tweet links to where you can find the book. Let's welcome back to the programme Elana Freeland. Elana, it is lovely to chat with you again. How are you?
I'm very well, Richie. I'm sorry your skies are inundated. Mine here in the Pacific Northwest of the United States are inundated as well.
Yeah, we've seen it. I'm out very early in the morning, just after dawn is broken. I live, Elana, near Manchester Airport. I'm probably 4 miles away from the airport. It's one of the busiest airports in Britain, one of the busiest in Europe. It's a gateway airport, so it goes... you fly west to the United States, to South America, all over Europe, so it's busy. Isn't it incredible that... And I know people who are sceptical will say, oh, sometimes atmospheric conditions are different, Richie. But I'm out with my dog every morning, blue skies or cloudy. Once a week, Elana, or once every 10 or 12 days, we see the tic-tac-toe crisscross patterns across the sky. And it's been pretty bad for a couple of days this week. Tell me about when people go onto social media and they say that they feel really bad and they feel a bit fluey, and they can feel very heavy. And they are certain that it is because spraying has been occurring in their area heavily, maybe on a given day. Are they right? Can they feel the effects of it as soon as that, do you think?
Well, I think it depends on the immune system of the person who is having the symptoms. I have a really strong immune system that I eat very carefully to keep it in prime condition, because I'm very aware of what we're living under. This is far, far beyond pollution that we've been complaining about for the last 40 or 50 years. And so when I hear people say that, I'm really tempted to ask them how they're eating, how they're sleeping, are they living in a Wi-Fi'd environment, to find out the other factors. But I think I have to absolutely agree that what is coming down in the atmosphere and what we're breathing, what's in the GMO foods, what's in the soil around us, the water we drink, all of that is tipping the scales for all of us to one degree or another. Absolutely.
Wayne just tweeted something important. I live in a no commercial fly zone, and the activity and seeding is nearly every day there, he says. Alex says, I'm thinking of people who are sceptical that it's harmful. I switch mine off and throw it across the room. He's now talking about, I think, Wi-Fi and stuff. And we will talk about mobile phone masts and the connection between the masts and HAARP and the chemtrails as well. Do you know, HAARP, Elana, hasn't come up on the programme in quite a while. I think the last time you were on, we got bombarded by questions, which is a good thing. But we didn't speak a lot about HAARP. And the last time I spoke about HAARP and any depths was when Nick Begich was on my show over a year ago. Do you want to give our listeners the Cliff Notes even, version of what HAARP is?
Well, HAARP was, and I have to use the past tense because HARP, since it closed down in 2013 and then reopened just recently, it has been recalibrated. And that is according to Billy Hayes, the HARP man. He was the leader of the team that built HARP up in Gakona, Alaska. So I'm going to speak in the past tense because it was the high frequency active aurora research project up in Gakona, Alaska. And it was basically acres and acres of phased array antennas, all pointed skyward. And it was a collaboration of intelligence agencies, military contractors, the United States Air Force, the United States Navy, in order to run a series of research projects to see if they could at last fulfill the military dream of bringing high-powered ionized energy down from the ionosphere into our lower atmosphere for a variety of military operations. They had been wanting to do this for a long time. They've been doing cloud seeding for sure with silver nitrate and silver iodide, but this was way beyond that. Weather, certainly they wanted to dominate the weather. As the document on the web says, the weather, owning the weather by 2025. But what HARP was able to do was to point those phased array heaters, basically, all the way up to the ionosphere, steer in a certain direction, focus so that they could really sort of light on fire the ionosphere in a certain area, and then force those electrons off of the atoms up there, stimulate them, and then draw them down on our magnetic lines of force, Birkeland currents they're known as, to get them to come down, down, down into our lower atmosphere and trigger our atmosphere to make it battery ready, to make it into an antenna itself, and to keep that antenna poised and ready for the military operations. They needed a lot of particulates, a lot of matter that they could keep in the air that would give the ionizing a boost and keep it going, and then also use it to attract moisture and move weather systems. So that's the point of the chemtrail aspect of the ionospheric heater that HARP is. And I think I told you last time, Richie, when I went over how I got involved in all this, that I used to not realize that the chemtrails and the ionospheric heaters like HARP are in the same technology. They are like Mutt and Jeff. They are like Peter and Paul. They have to go together. That one will not work without the other. So this is how HARP was working. And what it did is it not only activated our environment, and all they have to do now is keep it going, but it also proved to them that they could actually make plasma. And plasma is the fourth state of matter. In fact, the entire universe, 99.999% of everything in this universe is made of plasma. And what it means is it's a sort of combination between heat and gas. And it has many uses. And it certainly, one of the uses you can well imagine is the godlike power to actually create matter. And this was also something that was very captivating to the scientists who worked for the military, who were supported by military money, and still is. So to keep the atmosphere plasmaized, ionized, battery ready, like an antenna, is very important for many, many military hopes and aspirations, and of course the operations, the 7 operations that I named before.
Elana Freeland is on the line, folks. It's 17 minutes past the hour. This is vital stuff. It really is. If you're coming in on it, remember it'll be podcasted and it'll be on YouTube really soon. Her book, Chemtrails, HAARP and the Full Spectrum Dominance of Planet Earth, is absolutely vital reading. It really is. And as I said, I'll be tweeting out how and where to purchase this absolutely vital book. Elana, a couple of questions. We knew we were going to get lots of questions coming in from listeners. Here's a couple. How long has it been going on? Because the illnesses that people are feeling, for many people it's a cumulative effect. It's because it's been happening over a period of time. What's the best research saying about how long they've been pumping this stuff into the ionosphere, number one? And then can you speak then to why I think you've already done, why the chemtrails and the ionosphere is the ion heaters like HAARP are connected. So let's talk about the length of time how long have we been subjected to this? This is really important.
Well, let's go back a little further before I introduce that to World War I. We had chemical warfare. It was a terrible, terrible thing that almost wiped out an entire European generation of youth, as you know. So to chemicalize for warfare, to find another way to kill or destroy the enemy is something that has always been on the military mind, probably as long as the idea of controlling the weather so that you can have military operations that are free-flowing, not to mention in an age like ours, which is so heavily dependent on communications at a distance, the prospect of over-the-horizon control of weather has been driving the military for decades. So then we come to the cloud seeding that's been going on. It goes on at sea. It goes on the land. It's often sold to the public as being having to do with growing food and having the right weather to do so. But as we know, it was also used for destruction. In Vietnam, we had the Agent Orange, and we've heard various rumors about the military testing in the United States on cities like St. Louis without consent by the civilian population, all covertly done. Warfare, chemical and biological warfare are alive and well in the United States, though here long ago there was a big propaganda push to paint South Africa as being the most nefarious for chemical and biological warfare. But the truth is, it's been going on here and been heavily supported for many decades. All right, so all that known, we then come to an operation called Project Cloverleaf. And Cloverleaf is still classified. I recently checked on that. And it is basically what can I say? It's a chemical, biological warfare program that is I guess it's probably on the clandestine documentation behind the program that we're witnessing now, that is certainly running heavily over all NATO countries. And it is the chemtrails. It is tied to the ionospheric heaters, to the radar installations at the over 1,000 American bases around the world. And whenever I say American, Richie, I have to admit that I generally think UK as well, because the two seem to be very much in bed with each other militarily. So you have all these radar installations. You have in America, we have what are called NEXRADs. And these are big golf ball looking radars that are near our radio stations and really help to tether and move and steer storms along. All of this system that is a huge global network now are all under in the United States anyway, they are under something called Project Cloverleaf. And that project has been in high gear now for 2 decades.
For 2 decades, Elana.
Yes.
Wow. Folks, 22 minutes past the hour. Doesn't get any more serious than this. You know, this is information that everybody should be presented with, regardless of whether they're prepared for it or not, or they want to understand it or not. So many questions coming in. Matthew emailed me before we get to the tweets. Richie, I've noticed that on particularly heavy spray days, there seems to be spotter planes and microlight aircraft buzzing around at low altitude. I think they're involved with the spraying in some sort of monitoring capacity. Has Elana noticed the same thing, and what are her thoughts on what they are doing, if indeed she's noticed it? What about spotter planes and light aircraft, Elana? Is that anything that's come up in your research?
Yes, I've had people comment. I think that Matthew is his name. I think Matthew is very perspicacious to start noticing that we need to be looking critically at our skies. And I think he's right that some of the lighter aircraft may indeed have measuring devices, and they're chemically measuring how the chemtrail is interacting with whatever is in the chemtrail is interacting with whatever is in the atmosphere, the magnetism over that particular geographic area. That's something we never think of, but we really should. I mean, I think that, and we have to keep in mind here that they're using different fuels. They're still experimenting with different fuels and fuel additives in the jets, the primary jets that are laying these trails. So that could be something else that they're measuring. One thing to keep an eye out for, that we're trying to keep an eye out in the United States for, is there are several patents that indicate that they have found a way to make the chemtrails invisible, and also that there may be lighter aircraft that are simply sort of inoculating the basic core chem mass that is laid by the jet to trigger some sort of reaction in it over a particular area. These are things that are running through our minds here in the States to understand the operation, because in my opinion, it is all still experimental, but very far along in experimental. I mean, I don't mean that they're seeing if it will work. It is working, but there are many things that they want to use it for, and they're tweaking the fuels of the jets and the additives that also go towards supporting the chemtrails, and then the alternate systems, supplemental systems that may be on board various aircraft, that would be commercial and military, for particular purposes over geographic areas. I can give you an example of that. Recently, over the Pacific Northwest state of Oregon, some chemtrail activists observed in their health and in their skies. The skies had different colors, and their health was just awful after the laying of a grid board of chemtrails. And because of the colors in the chemicalized sky, it appeared that lithium had been laid over them. And the lithium, because people were feeling rather stoned and sort of high and nauseous, they thought that there might be a psychoactive ingredient in it. And we almost succeeded in I guess you'd have to say, stealing some documentation for some experiments that a local university professor had been running. He had been looking for something other in the air. He had done some air samples and water samples, but had found such an overwhelming amount of lithium that he had canceled the experiments and put it all away as a failure. He had of course, no knowledge that this lithium could be coming from the sky. But we were unable to eventually get that because the graduate student lost his courage, and probably it's just as well. It might have been messy.
It might have been messy. Elana Freeland is on the line, 27 minutes past the hour. Now, anybody who's following us on Twitter will know that dozens of questions have come in. We're not going to get to them all, but I'm going to do a quick summary of some of those questions briefly for Elana before we move on to the weaponisation of mobile phone masts or cell phone towers, which is vital. And coincidentally, David has been talking about it this week on davidicke.com. Elana, when we see that there are problems agriculturally all over the world due to abiotic stress, we know this to be true. And we know that Monsanto has a ready-made, patented seed which is resistant to soil that is suffering from abiotic stress. When we see that there is a serious threat to the bee population globally, which of course has implications beyond the fears of most people, it's so serious. Dementia, Alzheimer's, increasing threefold, fourfold, fivefold. No matter what the system or the lawyers in governments want to tell us about, they're becoming better at diagnosing it. We know that something is up. You have all these things happening. We can link all of these things, can't we? The soil, the bees, the dementia, all of those things can be linked to the spraying.
Yes, as long as we understand that some of it is definitely chemical and is acting, I love this word, I probably overuse it, but is acting synergistically with other pollutants, certainly with the genetic alteration of whatever GMOs are. They're certainly not food. We have that element, the chemical alone, just the chemical alone. But these chemicals, because of the presence of conductive heavy metals, which also count as chemicals because they are in a nanoparticulate state, they're very, very tiny, almost like dust. And we are breathing these in. And these things can be stimulated by microwaves and radio waves either outside our bodies or inside our bodies. This is also part of our dilemma. They are electrified within the body alone, which is why the Wi-Fi environment and the what you call mobile phone masts, and we call cell towers, which are constantly radiating. This is what makes it so serious for all these ailments that we're talking about. They're all acting as a synergy of destruction.
Hey, just before we get deep into that, these cell phone towers, did I read right, or did I get it right when I was reading articles about this recently? And I did read the article on David's website. Are these cell phone towers, mobile phone masts, are they operating at 300,000 watts, even though they are scattered all over our city? So I can see 3 from outside my house, and around the corner from the studio there's 2 more. Are they really punching out energy at 300,000 watts? Microwaves.
Right, and that I can't guarantee. I've read so many figures on it that what I'm following is to see it's as Billy Hayes says, the harp man says, it's not the power that is the problem now, it's the pulsing. It's the pulsing of the frequencies. And so what I concentrate on, I mean, I have something here that you said you wanted to talk about the cell towers, and this is from the next book I'm writing, which is on the space fence, which I'm sorry to say is more bad news. But the cell tower, if I could just kind of go from my notes here.
Yeah, take your time.
I want to make something clear. Remember, when you're looking at every technology that we're so fond of, all the way back to the television, the radio, the computer, all these things, all the way to the cell phone, the iPhones, etc. All of these were military technology first. And then a decision was made to allow the civilians to have it. Part of it may have been the pressure of military contractors, which I consider all telecommunications industry to be. They're all military contractors. There was a way to make a profit from it, so let the civilians have it. But there were other agendas behind that, and one of the agendas was that they needed these towers, they needed these masts wherever they needed them for what I'm going to write the book. It's about the space fence, and these towers, it's probably the same in the UK as it is here, because we had an act here called the Telecommunications Act of 1996. It was a huge omnibus bill. None of the legislators who voted on it even read it, because it was over 700 or 800 pages. But in that was a very telling little paragraph which said that communities would not have any say-so as to where the towers went or if they went at all. So we know when we see that we're looking at a military operation. So where your masts are, if you look closely at the towers, you'll see that there are various devices on them. And you'll be told that it's all about directionality for phone communication, for clarity of the calls, etc. But the truth is, these are dual use technology. And by dual use, I mean military and civilian. And so some devices are simply for civilian connectivity, but other devices are for weather censoring, population broadcasting, perhaps mood signals. Because they can pulse frequencies. And I know I must have mentioned it last show. Everything in our bodies, including our brain, of course, has a certain frequency. It's a very exact frequency, and these frequencies can be pulsed by means of extra low frequency waves, ELFs, they're known as, and where the ionospheric heaters come in, along with the satellites, along with all of the towers and various radio stations that have devices. Every one of them is set to a certain frequency itself to resonate with each other and act as one unit. So it's as though we're living in a net. We're living right inside of a wireless net, like a fish would be living in it, and then we can be influenced to one degree or another by these frequencies that are always gently being pulsed. And there are two problems with this.
Just before you talk about the problems, that goes also towards, it goes as far as changing the biological makeup of us as human beings, doesn't it?
Exactly. Right now...
Can I just, sorry to interrupt you again, and I will shut up then and you can talk about the problems. You must have had a moment looking in the window, looking in the mirror even, saying to yourself, Elana, girl, I can't believe I'm writing this stuff. I can't believe I'm saying this out loud.
Yeah. Oh, well, I can't believe I'm writing this stuff. I mean, I really have a lot of confidence in my ability to research things down to the nth degree, despite the fact that I can't be an expert in every subject. I can get down to the bottom of problems pretty well. And I am surprised that I'm in this in one way. But Richie, it's like you with your radio show. I mean, when you love humanity and believe in humanity, and you don't measure humanity by the worst of them,
No.
but you measure it by the best of them and by the wonderful, naive, innocent souls that live everywhere, and that our leaders should be responsible for and be leading in an ethical, growth orientation way. And when those leaders are not doing that, well, then we all have to step up to the plate, is how I feel. I actually went through an interview this weekend. Someone flew in from the East Coast to interview me for a magazine article. I'm so important.
That's brilliant.
But he's a disbeliever in what I do, and wanted to find out why someone like me, where I had such a career hopes when I was younger, would have turned to the conspiracy movement. And it really was fascinating to hear myself explain
Yeah.
how I love the people. I love the people. I'm not interested in a career that would cut me off from the people and put me around other types that are self-important. And I feel this is a privilege to really share what I know about this technology to the degree that I can. And I know it's complex. It's complex for me as well. But I think that we live in a technological era, and there are many dangers to it, and it behooves us to learn about, at some degree, the technology that is guiding us, and not to sit like lemmings and wait for us to wait to fall off the nearest cliff.
You do a brilliant job, by the way, in considering your level of research and considering, your own obvious intellect. You are always mindful. It's a bit of a gift, actually. You're always mindful that you're talking to people whom are intelligent, but often don't understand the jargon and the lingo. And that's not to say that somebody isn't intelligent. I don't understand the jargon and the lingo.
No, it isn't. And that was me. That was me not that long ago. Look at my growth rate. I mean, I spend 24/7 on this stuff, of course, so I'm going to have a real learning curve going on, but we can all have a learning curve, and I don't want anyone to be intimidated, but we can't wait for the experts. That's the problem, Richie. They're not going to come forward. They're in fear for their lives. And the ones who haven't been bought out and sold off for greed and power and careers, the others are terrified because they are under threats. So we can't wait for them to come. We have to do it ourselves.
Absolutely. Let me read a few tweets before we move on to what can be done about this and how people can make changes in their own lives to at least try and fend off some of the some of the effects. Meg was on to say, over the past year or so, the Northern Lights have been seen a few times across the UK. Could this be related? Quick answer on that, Elana, before I read more tweets. Quick answer. Could it be related to seeing the Northern Lights over Britain?
Yes, of course. They can draw it south. And also, we're going to see a lot of light shows in the sky. And we can't jump to conclusions like it's aliens and UFOs. This technology is just getting started, and there will be all sorts of signs and wonders in the sky. They can even create their own aurora borealis now. That's plasma you're looking at in the aurora borealis, looking at electrified plasma. And now with the ability to create plasma with these ionospheric heaters, we will see more of this, and we'll see the aurora coming further south.
Des was on to say, remember, no planning permission is needed for these phone masts. They can stick them up wherever they want. That's true. That was echoed by Martin.
That's right.
Yeah, it's terrible. That Martin Oak says that as well. Paul says, my mother died of motor neurone disease 6 years ago and was asked to take part in a double-blind lithium trial. It got me thinking, listening to Elana, says Paul. Paul, thanks for that. Keep the tweets coming in at Richie Allen Show. Listeners talking about music as well. Don't forget, music is played constantly to kids. It dumbs them down certain frequencies. It's all about frequencies like Elana was talking about there. JP in Manchester says, destroy the food supply, control the food and water, the ultimate control of our species, and drug them down to gimps as well. And Elana, we had a lot of emails and tweets about strange mass deaths or fatalities of fish species in lakes in the United States and birds dropping dead out of the sky. Undoubtedly, those things happened because of what we've been discussing.
Yes, but also add to that the magnetic we're inside the magnetosphere of the Earth, and so because of these pulsing of different frequencies for different military operations, even our Schumann resonance, which is 7.83 hertz, and all of life pulsates to that frequency. That's why we have this oneness of life. All of that is being jimmied around and experimented on, and so when these species just seem to drop dead, I mean, I don't know. Are they broadcasting the frequency of that species in order to see what happens? I mean, that's the kind of sociopaths we have operating this technology. So it seems to me that it's they have a magnetic north kind of capability. They're losing that. And the species as a whole could also be being exterminated simply by pulsing the frequency of their species. I mean, this is so serious. I can't stress it enough.
It's massive, Elana. It's massive. I'm going to give folks. I'm going to give another quick plug there to Elana's book. It's 17 minutes to the top of the hour, by the way. We've got Elana for probably another 6 or 7 minutes. Look how time is flying. Has flown even this hour. It's absolutely incredible. But you can keep the tweets and the emails coming in. Just before I give a big plug to the book, Elana, do you want to let people know where they can find you online?
The only place I am now is on my book's Facebook site. I apologize for that. I'm not a fan of Facebook. As you know, it was started by the CIA. But it seems to be the meeting place for like the town square, the electronic town square now. So I'm on there. It's called Elana Freeland, Chemtrails, HAARP, and the Full Spectrum Dominance. Rather not a very imaginative title.
No, but it's good. It's good.
But if you have to request membership, because it's a closed site. I had too many trolls and got tired of that. So please do request a membership, and that has a lot of information. I screen that site very thoroughly, very carefully. I keep only the educative up. It has to do with genetics. It has to do with transhumanism. It has to do with GMOs. Anything that has to do with this particular technology, you can find on that site. And there are many amazing activists who are also members of it and submitting wonderful things to it. So it's a place of learning.
Brilliant. The book is Chemtrails, HAARP, and the Full Spectrum Dominance of Planet Earth. There will be a new book, a follow-up, which Elana has mentioned already. I'll tweet out that Facebook page now. Massive amount of tweets and emails coming in. If you want to see what other people are saying, go to Twitter, enter Richie Allen Show, all one word, and you'll see what other people are saying. Don't send me any more questions, folks, because we're going to run out of time. We really are. But we'll invite Elana back on again. This is so serious. Maybe Elana might be amenable to maybe coming on once a month and having a chat with us. If she agrees to that, we'll do it. She's not obliged to agree to it, though, because she is busy.
No, it should be fine, Richie. The plus is, I mean, the minus is an hour is such a short amount of time, but the plus is it is an hour, and I'm willing to give an hour. I mean, sometimes I have to do two-hour shows. It takes a great deal of energy and time, so I would be happy to come on once.
That'd be brilliant. I slightly disagree with you on the timing. I think regular hourly chats are better than 2 hours, and I'll tell you why. Because of the cumulative effects of the nightmare of getting through our daily lives because of what this system is doing to us. Every one of us, including incredibly smart people like you, our attention spans aren't what they used to be, Elana.
Yeah, I agree.
And I love keeping it to 40, 45 minutes a time because people retain that information. Strange noises in the sky. Really interesting. Simon, who produces, who looks after the YouTube channel for us, says he's been coming across strange and chilling sounds in the sky, might be emanating from space. And amazingly, at exactly the same time, Elana, Robert Watson tweeted the same thing. The strange noises heard around the world coming from the sky. Anything to do with the HAARP program or the ionosphere tampering?
Oh, yes. Oh, definitely. In fact, I have something here, a little document, hums and noises. What you're hearing are actual scalar events, and I haven't talked to you about scalar technology, which is basically what we're seeing in the sky when we see these signs and wonders. The hums and noises that we're hearing, the trumpet sounds, the groaning sounds, all of these have to do with the fact that we have a scalar technology and it is being experimented with through the earth, all the way through the plates of the earth to the other side of the earth. We have ELF waves that are as long as the entire planet's circumference. Um, we need to really, I was going to, if we had time today, talk to you about crop circles as well,
Oh, crop circles.
because
Yeah, yeah.
those two are this technology. So yes, those sounds. Do not fear, and please, let's not import any aliens or anything. Those are all part of the scalar technology that is in use now.
Just before, and we've probably got about 3 or 4 minutes before we wrap it up today. Just before we do, are you confident in your in your quieter moments when you're reflecting on doing shows like this and researching for your books? Are you confident that sufficient amounts of people will become aware of this and will be so horrified, appalled, and ultimately indignant that psychotic people, supposed to be looking out for their best interests, are doing this to them, that there will be a movement against it? Are you confident of that?
Well, there may be a movement, but uh, I want to stress that I do the work I do not to create a groundswell of public outrage that will stop these psychopaths. I don't see that can happen because I have studied these psychopaths and they pretty much cover all their bases. But I do feel that for each individual out there, we must pursue knowledge of our condition because knowledge is power. And we never know what will come. We don't know if they will make an error. We don't know if there will be some event that will suddenly shake us awake as an entire people, and that by then we will be ready because we will have the knowledge by which we can wield our power.
That's a brilliant answer, that. It's a brilliant answer. It keeps me up nights sometimes, wondering, because so many things happen through this geoengineering chemtrail HARP program. We listed them all, the debilitating mental illnesses, Alzheimer's and of course Parkinson's and everything else, and what's happening to the bees and the soil. And I just keep, to me, it's so urgent, Elana. It's urgent.
Yeah.
There's not much time to waste with respect to this, because what they're doing, there's bound to be, kind of like a point of no return where there's no recovery from it. And I don't like to scare people, and we don't do fear porn on the program. But surely
Right.
there will come a time, and that time might be very soon, when the effects of this lunacy are irreversible. What do you think?
I agree with you, Richie, but I feel that if we can have knowledge and have confidence in ourselves to know these things and not wait for the experts and not wait to be told what to do, that we can banish fear. I always remember Father Damien on the island of Molokai in Hawaii. I graduated from University of Hawaii, so I studied Hawaiian culture while I was there. He worked with the lepers on Molokai for the better part of his 80 years on the earth, and he never contracted it until the very end. And it is one of the most contagious diseases you can possibly live around. And that's what no fear does. That's what a belief in serving humanity does for you. You do not suffer the same consequences that you would if you give way to fear. And I have no fear whatsoever. On we go.
Do you know, it was terrific having you on the program again. It really was. I'll be in touch with you in early April to schedule you to come back on. Continued success to you, Elana, and the book is brilliant. Links to the book and the website can be found on our Twitter page. Chemtrails Harp and the Full Spectrum Dominance of Planet Earth by Elana Freeland is absolutely vital. Thanks so much for your time, Elana, and I look forward to talking to you again soon.
Always a pleasure, Richie. Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye for now. Elana Freeland then.